Hello there everyone, and welcome to your weekly MTA plan work video for the Queens Subways and Long Island Railroad for the weekend of Friday, January 18th, 2019 and ending on Monday, January 21st, 2019. I quickly want to mention a quick note that I have caught a cold, so if my voice doesn't sound like its normal self, I do apologize. I know if my vocabulary is off, that's what happens when you have a cold and the fatigue. I think the worst part of this cold, not just the stuffing, I think it's the fatigue, because I've literally have had no energy all day. I'm recording this on Thursday, should be up normal time Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern. I just haven't been motivated that much, but I figured, time is dwindling, I can get this edited and get all the information I need to get out to you guys. I should be able to get over this, and hopefully I should be able to do the 3-pack that I promised you all this upcoming Wednesday, the 23rd, from the Lexington Avenue line at 23rd, 28th, and 51st Street on the 6th line. So hopefully I will keep my promise to you all, and we'll do all those 3 summits, because I'm really looking forward to doing it. Hopefully this cold should go away by then. But that out of the way, let's get started with this week's plan work video. I want to quickly remind everybody that we have a winter travel advisory as 2 snowstorms will be approaching our area. We have a snowstorm that's minor. It's only going to be according to about 3 inches for this one Thursday night into Friday, and then another one coming into the area, I believe it's Saturday night into Sunday. Yes, I made a quick note of it from my cue cards above me. Yes, it's Saturday night into Sunday. We're supposed to get 3 to 6 inches, so I encourage you this weekend to please, for your weather updates, go to Pine Power LI. He should be able to give you the latest information on the storms coming. Hopefully he'll have a video up Thursday night. Yeah, obviously this will be up Friday morning, but hopefully all weekend he should be able to give you the information on that, along with the public information statement Upton should have released. Well, they should release it on Sunday night or hopefully on Monday with that information, but quickly want to remind everybody that it may get slippery, so just remember to please be careful on sidewalk, steps, and stairs. Also forgot to mention that please be careful on platforms as well. Martin Luther King Day service changes. This Monday, January 21st, will be Martin Luther King Day. New York City buses and subways will be on a reduced weekday service schedule. The Long Island Railroad will be running regular weekday service with off-peak fares in effect all day. Now, on to the 7th. And hopefully this should be the last time I have to report this, because it's the same thing with the E. I believe this is the last time they'll be doing it this month. So let's just recap this. This will be 12:15 a.m. Saturday to 4:30 a.m. on Monday. So that's the 19th to the 21st. Free shuttle buses along with the E, F, N, R, W, and the Times Square 42nd Street shuttle trains will replace 7 service between 34th Street, Hudson Yards, and Queensboro Plaza because of track maintenance. 7 service will run between Flushing Main Street and Queensboro Plaza. You can use the E, F, N, R, or W for service between Manhattan and Queens. You can transfer at Queensboro Plaza for the N and the W trains, or at Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue, which is better known the 7 line, at 74th Street for the E, F, and R trains. I'll quickly remind everybody that M service is suspended again this weekend, so I'll get into that slide as we go along, so that's why anybody's curious, you need local service, M will not be available. Just to recap, the shuttle buses, they will run along 2 routes. They will run between Hudson Yards and Times Square, and they will run between Queensboro Plaza and Vernon Boulevard, Jackson Avenue. Once again, W service will be available. Times Square, 42nd Street shuttle will run overnight. I'll once again quickly recap that later on in this presentation. So I'm going to recap the W train again. You'll have W train service for one more weekend this month, because I believe there will be none next weekend from what I saw on the schedule, but that can change and I'll have to check the emails. So, as my mouse was just going crazy here, so here's when W service will be available. It'll be available on Saturday and Sunday, so that's the 19th and the 20th. On the 19th, W will be available between 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and on the 20th from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Special service will run between Whitehall Street, South Ferry, and Ditmars Boulevard. Good news is, no planned work on the N line in Queens. And I'll quickly mention that once I have official word of when 39th Street and Broadway will reopen, I will immediately give the news out here on this channel, because we are almost a month away from hopefully those stations reopening. No M service this weekend. The 18th to the 21st, 9:30 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. on Monday. Free shuttle buses will replace the M train because of structural improvements. Once again, there will be no M service between Middle Village Metropolitan Avenue and Forest Hills 71st Avenue. The free shuttle buses will run along 2 routes. They will run between Essex Street and Metropolitan Avenue, and between Essex Street and Myrtle Avenue, where you can transfer, of course, to the J train for service between Queens and Manhattan. How about the R train? R trains will be available in Queens, so once again, you will have your local R service available this weekend in Queens. How's the E train? Well, this is the last weekend, and especially how twice this week I saw the sign at Kew Gardens Union Turnpike, which is, of course, my home station. The 18th to the 21st, 10:45 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. on Monday. Free shuttle buses will replace trains between Briarwood and Jamaica Center because of track maintenance. E will run between World Trade Center and Briarwood and will transfer to the F line to and from Jamaica 179th Street. Free shuttle buses will make all E stops between Union Turnpike and Jamaica Center. Transfer between buses and trains at Union Turnpike or Briarwood. You can also transfer for bus service by using the Q60 route between Union Turnpike and Sutton Boulevard, Archer Avenue. For service between Manhattan and JFK Airport, you can take the A train to and from Howard Beach JFK, or use the Long Island Railroad and get off at Jamaica for service to the Air train. January 18th to the 19th, 11 p.m. Friday to 7 a.m. Saturday. January 19th to the 20th, 11 p.m. Saturday to 8 a.m. on Sunday. World Trade Center bound E trains will stop locally at 67th Avenue, 63rd Drive, Woodhaven Boulevard, and Grand and Elmhurst Avenue because of electrical improvements. On the F line, January 28th to the 21st, 9:45 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. Monday. Downtown F trains will skip 23rd and 14th Street because of track maintenance. Use an Uptown F or M train via transfer at West 4th Street to complete your trip. January 18th through 21st, 11:45 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. on Monday. Coney Island bound F trains will be rerouted via the E after 36th Street in Queens to 4750th Street, Rockefeller Plaza, because of track maintenance. Use a Jamaica-bound F train to complete your trip via transfer at 4750th Street, Rockefeller Plaza, or Jackson Heights, Roosevelt Avenue. For Lexington Avenue and 63rd Street, you can take the Q train, or transfer to the Jamaica-bound F via transfer at 4750th Street, Rockefeller Plaza. January 18th through the 19th, 11 p.m. Friday to 7 a.m. on Saturday. January 19th through the 20th, 11 p.m. Saturday to 8 a.m. on Sunday. Coney Island bound F train, same as the E line, will be stopping at 67th Avenue and 63rd Drive, Woodhaven Boulevard, Grand and Elmhurst Avenues because of electrical improvements. Good news is there is no planned work on the G this weekend. Structural improvements on the J line once again. This will be taking place on the 18th through the 21st, 9:30 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. on Monday. Free shuttle buses and or the 4, 6, and F trains will replace J train service between Myrtle Avenue and Broad Street because of structural improvements. Once again, I do apologize to my colds. That's better. J trains will run between Jamaica Center and Myrtle Avenue. Buses will run between Myrtle Avenue and Delante Essex Street in Brooklyn. Transfer between trains and buses at Myrtle Avenue and or Delante Essex Street on the F. For service between Delante Essex Street and Broad Street, you can use the 6 to and from nearby stations via transfer at Bleecker Street, Broadway, Lafayette Street. Transfer to and from the 4 at Brooklyn Bridge. For service to and from Manhattan, you can use the A, C, or L via transfer at Broadway Junction. On the A line, the previous scheduled track work for the A train in Queens has been cancelled, and that is due to the upcoming winter storm we are expecting Saturday night into Sunday. So good call by the MTA. I'm assuming next week they will try to get the scheduled track work in Far Rockaway in next week. Hopefully I will have an update for that in next week's presentation, and hopefully my cold will be away by then, which if it lasts a week, we're going to have problems. Once again, to recap the shuttle plan work for the 42nd Street line, of course, we will have overnight service because of the 7 project. So this will be from the 12th to the 14th, 12:01 a.m. to 6 a.m. Saturday to Monday. So you'll have your overnight service in case you need to get between Times Square and Grand Central this weekend. I would encourage anybody for trying to get between Times Square and Grand Central and you want to get over to, let's say, Bryant Park, you can walk to Bryant Park, which will be the easiest option I would recommend. Now, let's go to the Long Island Railroad Service Changes website. We haven't done this in a while, but there is a good reason why we must go there this week. So, let's get to the next part of this presentation. Now, we have reached the Long Island Railroad Service Changes. And of course, for this weekend, we only have one service change on the railroad, and that is, of course, Fort Washington branch service reduced to hourly. Buses are going to be replacing trains between Great Neck and Port Washington. To ensure the continuing safety and reliabilities of the rail, the Long Island Railroad will perform ultrasonic tests on the Port Washington branch taking place on Saturday, January 19th. As a result, buses and vans will replace trains between Port Washington and Great Neck for 16 hours from 1 a.m. to 5 p.m. Additionally, Port Washington branch service will be reduced from half-hourly to hourly from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday. Rail testing will be performed using the Sperry rail car, a bright yellow self-propelled train car equipped with ultrasonic and induction test equipment. It is designed to detect internal rail defects that are not visible to the naked eye. Defects that are found will be corrected immediately by a crew of Long Island Railroad maintenance workers. Train service will be affected as follows. Alright, so I'll make it easier. 1217, 117, 304, 518, 618, 718, 818, 918, 1018, and 11:18 a.m. trains, along with the 1218, 118, 218, 3:18 p.m. eastbound trains from Penn Station to Port Washington will terminate at Great Neck. You will have to transfer for bus fan service, and it will be provided to you to go to Manhattan, Plain Dome, and Port Washington. 748, 848, 948, 1048, 1148, 1248, 748, 848, 948, 1048, 1148 a.m. trains, 1248, 148, 248, and the 348 trains from Penn Station to Port Washington are canceled. Please plan for up to 25 minutes of additional travel time. Now for westbound, 210, 410, 539, 639, 742, 842, 942, 1042, 1142 a.m. trains, 1242, 142, 242, 342, and the 442 p.m. trains from Port Washington to Penn Station will originate at Great Neck. 7:11, 8:11, 9:11, 10:11, 11:11 a.m., 12:11, 1:11, 2:11, 3:11, 4:11 p.m. trains from Port Washington to Penn Station are canceled. Connecting bus and van service to Great Neck will be provided from Port Washington, Plain Dome, and Manhattan. Buses fans will depart up to 25 minutes earlier than normal train times. And quickly we'll open this tab, and we'll take a look at it for a second. It should pop up right here. So you have your special timetable. I will encourage anybody, as they're watching this video, if you are at Penn Station or if you're at your Port Washington branch station, to please pick up a copy of the special timetable card. Hopefully it should be available, or you can get this info for yourself at MTA.info, of course. So as you see here, here's your schedule. So that is some interesting stuff. I will encourage anybody, if possible, to try to avoid the buses and vans. If you want to try to look for a parking spot in Great Neck, good luck, because finding a parking spot in Great Neck is like trying to find a parking spot in Manhattan. Or what I would recommend doing is try to find an alternative way to get to Great Neck this weekend, because honestly, you're only going to have hourly service this weekend, and if you don't want to deal with the buses and the vans, I would just recommend at this point finding another alternative. If that means sharing a ride with someone, unfortunately I'm going to have to recommend Uber or Lyft or taxi. If you have the cash or the dough, as they like to say it, that's another alternative, because I can't really think of anything else. Because if you take nice booze, then you have to wait for the N23, which I wouldn't recommend. Wouldn't recommend going all the way to Northern Boulevard just to get a bus. Would not recommend that at all. I will recommend this. If you're coming from Port Washington, I think if I am correct, let me confirm this, I'm not too sure. I believe N23, a nice bus, is available on weekends. Let's just confirm this. This is the 2017 schedule, but you don't know it. Nice bus. Yeah, I believe that is available on the weekend. So if you are coming from Port Washington, and let's say you want to go to Mineola as an example. Let me just confirm this again. We'll go on the Nice Bus website. Sorry for going on to the Nice Bus website, which again, I don't want to deal with Nice Bus, but under this circumstance, let's see if we can get you a PDF. Okay, here we go. So let's see if we have weekend service. Okay, good. Good. There is weekend service on the N23. Because I know for a fact the N27, which is a different route that runs from Glen Cove, that has nothing to do with this. So if you're coming from the Port Washington train station, what I recommend you do now is you can go from... Let me make sure this is correct. Yeah, here we go. From Port Washington. I'm just trying to get you to Mineola. Hang on, folks. I do apologize, because I know this route very well. Here we go. Weekend service, weekend service. Yes, here we go. So here's what you can do. If you're at Port Washington, it's hourly bus service. So I would recommend you do is you can take the N23 to Mineola, and what you can do is you can get off at Mineola, like I mentioned. You can get off at the Intermodal Center. You can transfer for westbound service to Penn Station. That's what I would recommend doing. I know I would never recommend taking the main line, and I know that, since Long Island bus isn't around, there's no other alternative. Well, I just gave you another alternative. If you do want to get to Northern Boulevard and transfer to the N20H, once again, you can transfer at Northern Boulevard, and you can go to Great Neck that way, which again might take a little bit longer. So once again, you can stay on the N23 and get off at the last stop, which would be Mineola, and then transfer for westbound service to Penn. So I gave you an alternative. In fact, what I'm going to do right now, I'll do this to make it easier. This link and this link I'll put in the description below, so that way you guys can take a look at it for yourself. I know I would never recommend taking Nice Bus, but this is another alternative that I could think of. I'll quickly mention that if you're not familiar with Nice Bus, $2.75 is the fare with MetroCard or Exact Change, so just want to quickly mention that. If you do want to take Nice Bus, I also will recommend downloading the Transit app to track the bus, because I know the start of the route on the N23 is at Manor Haven, which is way further up. But you can, once again, along Main Street, you can get the N23 along with Port Washington Boulevard, which is Route 101. You can go that way. So that is some good news on that front, that you do have another alternative to get over to Mineola and transfer for westbound service. I figured, you know what, let's just quickly talk about this. I forgot I had to mention something. Alright, so I'll do it right now. For Nice Bus, I quickly want to mention that the N22X has been adjusted to provide a convenient alternative to the N22 local during rush hour. The express will now depart and at 179th 182nd Street instead of Jamaica Terminal. We added express stops at 205th Street, Springfield Boulevard, 235th Court, Little Neck Parkway, Marcus and Willis Avenue, 2nd Street, and 1 Old Country Road for N22X connections to the N23 and N4041. Please make the 3-minute walk from 2nd Street to the Mineola Intermodal Center. All weekday midday local eastbound N22 trips will be handled by the N22X departing from 2nd Street and Mineola Boulevard. A short walk from the terminal. You do have that. Now, we have something interesting right here. The traffic congestion on Old Country Road and Jericho Turnpike is changing and unpredictable. To help ensure that you get to your destination on time, we are breaking the N24 weekdays into two separate legs with eastbound and westbound buses beginning and ending at Roosevelt Field Mall. For further N24 travel towards Hicksville or Jamaica, please use our free transfer to the proper N24 at Roosevelt Field. So once again, I've criticized this before. I don't think this is going to be a good idea because then you're going to have more bunching on the N22. So I don't know how this is going to solve anything, honestly. I mean, I like to see if this is going to work, but we'll just have to wait and see how this ends up. Alright. N43 will now serve Babylon Turnpike instead of the N41. Please transfer to and from the Babylon Turnpike at Main Street. So, as you see here, they're changing it up by Freeport. I don't know how this is going to end up. Now, it's going to confuse people. You're pretty much going to tell people that, oh, now we're putting the M43 on Babylon Turnpike and transferring N41 at Main Street. And by the way, I've been doing a lot of thinking about if I do go back to the Roosevelt Field Mall, guess what? I have other options to get back to the Long Island Railroad. Or if I do that N24 video later this year. So if I have something interesting, I could do that. And headway management's coming to the N6. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. Headway management. I wonder how this is going to end up. In general, buses will be timed to arrive every 10 to 15 minutes at your stop, weekdays from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Of course, they have done this with the N31-32 and the N40-41. This is interesting. Starting on January 21st, Nice Bus will be offering weekday service along West Shore Road in Port Washington with connections to the Port Washington and Roslyn stations. That's interesting. There's going to be a little bit of an alternative. If one branch of the railroad goes down, you have another. That's interesting. I like to see how this is going to work. I am curious about this. Port Washington and Roslyn stations. It'll be interesting to see a shuttle go down Port Washington Road on 101. So that would be interesting. Alrighty, so I know I've been rambling on for a bit, but I forgot to mention we had Nice Bus service changes going into effect on Sunday. So 1, 2, 3 will be available to you in the description below. So that being all said, thank you all for watching this week's service changes video. Until the next one, please take care.